You're Fighting Illini with a double-digit victory over Arkansas on Thanksgiving Day. Give me a slice of that. Locked On Illini. Let's go.
You are Locked On Illini, your daily podcast on the Illinois Fighting Illini. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back, everyone, to the second episode of Locked On Illini for this Thursday, Thanksgiving Thursday. My name is Sunny Verma. You can find me at IlliniCast or at the Sunny V. I just want to start off and say you can. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. While we wait for more folks to get in on this Thanksgiving, whether you show up or not, obviously it's a day to spend with your family. Some of you watch this game with me. I appreciate you guys. There's a Discord link in the description. We've been talking back and forth all game long. I just want to say it was nice to – I know I was wrong. I predicted an Arkansas victory. But again, I will preface that by saying I was hinting towards the other direction during the pregame of this match. I just, once I looked into the matchups, I knew Tierra would be a problem, and sure enough, he was. But Boogie Fland, after what I saw, what Kylan had done to Mark Sears, I thought that we could have kind of a repeat performance. And we did. Boogie had 8 points on 2 of 12 shooting, and we'll get to that later. We'll start off talking about that first half. And this is a live episode, so please let me know in the comments what you think of the game, what you think of what I'm saying, your players of the game, everything that you liked, what you didn't like, and I'm going to get to it in a segment shortly. That first half that you watched today, I've been talking about it on Locked On Illini, right? When Illinois plays to its potential, the way Brad Underwood has constructed this roster, quite honestly, is masterful. We've got bigs, we've got little guys, we've got wings, and all of them can shoot. And the one guy who can't shoot does everything else well and just grabs rebounds, plays defense, and is a huge, big physical presence. That first half today, I've talked about how I think this Illini team on any given night can beat the number one team in the country. That first half is what I was talking about. That first half, Arkansas really stood no chance. Illinois, I forget off the top of my hand. I don't have the stats in front of me, but Arkansas scored 0 3-pointers in that first half. Illinois literally had a game plan, and they have a game plan, this very game plan, against everybody that they play. They'll let you score the twos. They'll let you work for those close twos or mid-range 2-pointers. What they don't want you to do is shoot 3-pointers, because that's what we, as in the Illini, are going to do. And sure enough, Arkansas made 0 3-pointers in that first half. And in that first half, they were down 15. It was 49-34 at the end of that first half. And it's not just our shooting. It was our defense. Again, basically forcing you to take mid-range shots, forcing you to attack the rim. And if you do attack the rim, you're going to have to deal with the 7'1" Ivisic or a monster named Morez Johnson. And if you make the basket at that point, good on you. You deserved it. You earn it. But we're going to race back across the court, keep the pressure on your defense. You're not going to have any time to celebrate. And we're going to keep passing that ball around until we can get an open 3-pointer. And today, for the most part, they fell. 15 for 31 from 3-point land for your Illini. And Arkansas was 5 for 17. 15 for 31, 5 for 17. The difference in the game. And it's not that I blame Arkansas. This is just the type of pressure that Illinois puts on other basketball teams. And we haven't reached our potential yet. I've been very clear about that. I predicted us to lose this game because I think the team is still finding itself. The team might be ahead of schedule. I talked about, well, maybe right on schedule, right? Big Ten season starts with our next game, I believe, right? Northwestern. On December 6th, I believe. I thought that the team would take the out-of-conference schedule to, you can see how talented these guys are. The roster construction that Brad Underwood has undergone over this offseason and John Calipari, keep in mind, both of them were in very similar positions in sense of how they're going to make up their roster. Calipari obviously being new to Arkansas, and Brad Underwood just essentially having to replace almost an entire roster. Brad has done, I said this word earlier, a masterful job, an amazing job so far. At least that's what it looks like early. We'll get to the key players in the next segment, but again, right now, I want you to know. Right now, I can't decide. I'll talk about who my player of the game is in the next segment, but I genuinely cannot decide. I'm cycling back and forth between 3 different guys. Let me know who you think is your player of the game, and we'll address that. Kylan Boswell, first half, he had 10 points, I believe 4 rebounds, 3 assists, with 4 minutes left. He actually had to sit down for the final couple minutes because the referees, and I'll say this for both sides. I'm not saying this just on the Illini side, and I'm not saying this just on the Arkansas side. They made what looked like was going to be a fun game to watch almost unwatchable. Ticky-tack fouls. And again, I'm saying on both sides. There were some fouls on Ivisic where, again, the guy's just standing up straight. Tiero's jumping into him, and Ivisic would get a foul. Ivisic ended up with, he fouled out. He did get 5 fouls in that game. But the same thing was happening on the other side. And it seemed like whistle after whistle after whistle. Kind of dragged the game on. But, eventually things settled down. We had a second half where Illinois, and I talked about this in the Discord, Illinois, for a couple minutes stretch, once again, stopped scoring. And again, when Illinois stops scoring, even if it's only for 3 minutes or so, because of our pace, it seems like it's 6 or 7 minutes that we've gone without a point. And Arkansas came back, but not really. They made a couple 3-pointers. By the way, Zvonimir Ivisic is also a stud. I don't know how that family came to be, but both twins are just absolutely fantastic basketball players. Zvonimir made a couple 3-pointers, clutch 3-pointers in that second half. It was a fun battle, right? This is what college sports is about. Sometimes the underlying stories, you see sibling versus sibling. Tomislav had the edge in the first half. I'd argue Zvonimir probably had the edge in the second half. Both had games that their parents would be proud of. Tomislav with 21 points, 10 rebounds, a walking double-double. In 30 minutes, he had 3 blocks and 2 steals. And Zvonimir, 13 points, 6 rebounds, 3 of 6 from 3-point land, 2 blocks and 2 steals of his own. A game that the parents, unfortunately, from what I heard, could not make it because of visa issues, but they can definitely be proud of both kids. But what I really want to do now is just really talk about the actual individual players. So let's get to that right after this. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today, and you'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. So I talked about last week, one of the things I really wanted to see, maybe it was earlier this week actually, was if this game got close or any game got close, who is the guy that Brad Underwood trusts with the basketball? Who's the guy who's going to make the plays when the team needs it the most? And today, we kind of caught a glimpse of that. Not that, I don't know if this is the true definition of what I was looking for. I was looking for a 5-point game with 2 minutes left. This game was always close to double figures. And, of course, I'm going to take it. I'm not sitting here complaining. But I think we saw the best case scenario play out. And, of course, I'm talking about Kasparas Jakucionis. Kasparas, in this game, ended up with 23 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, on 7 of 13 shooting, 2 of 5 from three-point land, 7 of 8 from free throws. That's just something he does very well. He did have 5 turnovers, and some of them a little more careless than I want him to be, but I think that's just going to come with the package because he had some of those in the tape that I watched when he played in Europe as well. It's something that hopefully can eventually get coached out, but it might just be something that we're going to have to deal with this year. Kasparas, at least 2 or 3 different times, had no problem taking, whether it's a step back 3-pointer, whether it's attacking the rim, getting fouled, and of course, as I mentioned, 7 of 8 from the free throw line. It seemed pretty clear there's 2 different guys who had the ball when it actually mattered today. And for the most part, it was Kasparas. It was Will Riley on one play, and Will still makes the crazy, wild plays that Will Riley has been making essentially all season long. Will today finished with 5 points on 2 of 9 shooting, 1 of 5 from 3. He played 30 minutes, though, which is nice. And again, think about that. This was a double-digit victory, 90-77 over the 19th best team in the country. And some would say your best player, some say Will Riley is your best player, had a very poor game. This was not even, it really wasn't that close of a game, was it? And I know some of you are already calling me out in the chat for saying I predicted Arkansas. I did. That kind of has to do with my preseason predictions. I didn't want to jump away from that, but I predicted a close game, but it was never really all that close. I think Illinois was up something like 21-6 right off the bat. We talked about it in the Discord, which, by the way, again, some of you in the comments are in the Discord. If you are, please let the folks know how we enjoy the day. We talked about the Bears earlier, which left a bad taste in everyone's mouth, but then we transitioned to the Illinois game. But we talked about how key it was that Illinois get off to a very hot start, and that's exactly what they did. You put the pressure on Arkansas immediately. John Calipari, in that first time out, was interviewed. It's like, yeah, you just have to find the right guy. They space you out. They're going to keep passing until the only guy who essentially has the green light to shoot a non-3-pointer or non-attacking the rim is Will Riley. Will Riley will shoot whatever he wants to shoot. But I think when you have the skill level that he does, you just kind of allow it. But Kasparas took care of the ball, took control of the ball at the end, and he didn't in any sort of way waver away from pressure. In the first half, I made a couple comments on Twitter, on social media, for those of you guys who follow me, where you can tell Kasparas, he'll have the ball wide open. All he has to do is just not think, just shoot. But we saw shades of it earlier on in the season. He still seems to be more comfortable attacking the rim and just finding someone else for maybe an easy bucket. And I think if this Illinois team is to reach its full potential, and I'm talking about winning the Big Ten, which I absolutely believe we can win, we need alpha Kasparas, the guy who doesn't hesitate to shoot. That Kasparas showed up with like 10 minutes left in that second half. That guy had no problems, no qualms going after Arkansas. He missed a very long-range 3-pointer. It wasn't even particularly close. Illinois grabs the offensive rebound, and then again Kasparas takes a step back, maybe 3 feet behind the 3-point line. Nothing but net. That's what you want. You want Kasparas to have the Will Riley mindset, right? Will Riley's a guy who can miss 10 shots in a row, and he's not afraid to take number 11. If Kasparas has that mentality, we see how skillful he is. We see how good of a basketball player he is. He's all Big Ten And I'm talking about first team. He's potentially one of the best players in the entire country. And he's the guy. We've been talking about it all off season long, and the season started off a little slow for him. But when he plays like he played today, the way he played the previous game, that's when I say the ceiling is unlimited for this Illinois basketball team. We're still going to have growing pains. Trust me, we can beat an Arkansas team ranked number 19 today, but in the very next game, I can see us losing to a Northwestern or a team that isn't supposed to be that great, just because the shots may not fall. That's just the way this team is constructed. But for now, I'll take it. Because again, you're talking about a very young team who took it to Arkansas, who I'm trying to pay proper respects to them, the Razorbacks, but this game wasn't close. This game kind of had a more relaxed feel, even throughout watching. It was more like a relaxed way to see how they were going to handle certain situations. They go through their scoring lull. Do they let Arkansas come back? Not really. I think it became a 9-point game at some point, but it wasn't really all that close. At the end of the game, do they have a guy who they trust with the ball? It was Kasparis. And if it's Kasparis, this team can win the Big Ten. All right, let's get to your comments. I know it's been lighting up while I've been on the show. So Justin says, excellent game, absolutely. Jason says, let's go. Sarah says, Tommy. I agree. I think that was in response to me saying who the best player today was. Marcellus, thanks for stopping by, says, nice game. Jason mentions KJ, Big T, Boswell, three-way tie. Boogie was out of the game because of Boswell. Sunny, so glad you were. Yeah, I was wrong. It's time to give Kylan. I mean, the mood has changed around him. Again, after the first couple of games, he's not a guy we're going to need to score double figures every single game, even though he did today. When he locks players down the way he did against Alabama and the way he did today against Arkansas, that's what makes our team better defensively this year than last year. Not saying the team itself is better, but defensively, the metrics are telling you. Last year, we were one of the worst defensive teams in the country. This year, if you take a look at the metrics, I haven't seen the updated ones, but I can't imagine it goes down after this game. It's guys like Kylan and the size that we bring, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about this tomorrow because Friday's episode is a community episode. Some of you saw my post on all the social medias, and right here on YouTube, if you have a question, and someone dropped that question, why do you think the metrics say this team is better defensively than last year's? And so I've saved that one. I'm going to address that one. If you have other questions, please let me know either in the chat or on any of the social medias. But Kylan Boswell, if he can play the lockdown defensive guy, we don't need the scoring guys. We have plenty of guys who can score. We need one guy who can give KJ the day off, not a day off, a play off here and there, handling the ball. And just a guy who will lock down and be like, hey, I got it when it comes to the other team's biggest offensive option. Phillips says the restraint for Brad and the guys not going after refs for the soft as cotton foul calls. Yeah, I mean, I mentioned that earlier. The refs at some point made the game unwatchable, and I mean that from both sides. My Twitter was back and forth between Arkansas fans and Illinois fans, and I don't think either side said the other one was favored. They just recognized that everyone was getting shafted. Marcel says, fire Matt Eberflus. Yeah. Philip says, is Tomislav the best center in the Big Ten? You know, I said that, I think after the second game, that in a conference full of real high-quality big men, Tomislav, he's right. If he's not the best guy, he's right up there. He's absolutely a guy who I think is going to be in contention for all Big Ten at that 5 spot. I liked him coming into this year. I didn't know he was this skilled. I genuinely didn't. I did not know he had such a soft touch and that he was just so willing to shoot the three-pointer. Sure, his percentages aren't quite there yet, but they will be, especially when Kasparis gets more, slows the game down a little bit. And, everyone around Kasparis, once Kasparis really figures it out, they're going to have a much easier time. Jason Lynch, thanks for stopping by, says, now that's a game I was wanting offensively from Boswell. ILL. Owen Brown, best game of the year. We are definitely lethal from three. I agree, Owen. There's no doubt. Easily the best game of the year. That first half team could win the national championship. Is that team ready to be that first half team every single game? Maybe not. But I've said this team is really, really good, guys. And the ceiling is absolutely there. But granted, there's nights that we're going to lose to teams with King Palm ratings in the 150s. I genuinely believe that. What happened to Kerry Booth? No minutes at all. William, I think it's a matter, and this is also something I was going to talk about later, is we're starting to realize Brad Underwood is going to an 8-man rotation. We talked about how talented this team is up and down, but Kerry Booth had his minutes earlier in the game, and there's just other guys who are being a little bit more productive with the time that they have. And so it doesn't matter. In the sport of basketball, if you have 10 good players, you still want to play your 8 best guys the most minutes, especially if number 8 is more talented than number 9. No, it doesn't matter how talented number 9 and 10 are. You still want to give that 8th guy more minutes. So I think Kerry Booth is just kind of a victim of just other guys playing really, really well right now. As Randy says, shot the ball really good today. Jason says Kerry Booth needs to bulk up, and Big Ben is a better shooter than Booth. Jason says, definitely nice having multiple guys on the floor who can handle the ball well. TM says, impressive win. The sky's the limit for them. This is the most talented team Illinois has had in the last 15 years. I've been saying that all offseason. A lot of other people are disagreeing, but I think it's very simple. You've got 2 guys who headline the team who could be lottery picks. And, they're 18 years old. And you can see, they're going to make a big impact at the next level, not just here at Illinois. But then you also have a guy like Tomislav Ivisic who, I'll just say, potentially, if he stays here 2-3 years, Kofi will have the accolades. But when you're talking about which center you would want on your team, I mean, after 6 games, Tomislav has been super impressive. But imagine Tomislav in 2 seasons, what he's going to be doing at the college basketball level. Tomislav could, keyword guys, could go down as the best center that Illinois has ever had. Marcellus agrees with me. Defensively, we've gotten better. Tomislav, player of the game, set the tone early and on the defensive end. Tyler Parker says it's going to be real hard to pull away from this team and how well they can shoot the 3. Absolutely agree. Arkansas was Ken Palm number 6 for defense, and we, Illinois, dropped 90 on them. That's what I'm saying. This team is going to throw 80, 90 on everybody. Everybody. Even on off nights, will hit 75, 80. There's other teams, most teams, particularly in the Big Ten, who on a good night won't be able to hit 75. Or let me rephrase that. We'll hit 75 on a good night. 80 on a good night. But if they're playing average, Illinois is just going to run them out of the gym. Heart to Heart says, you picked Arkansas, though, Sunny. Hand up, I did, and I'm glad that I was wrong. For the record, I picked us to lose all our main out-of-conference games in the offseason, so that's why I don't want to go back and forth on those predictions. But this team is certainly ahead of schedule of what I projected. Brad says this will be a good win on Selection Sunday. Also agrees the refs were terrible. That's a good team we beat down from wire to wire. Philip says KJ is the closer. If KJ is the closer, we're in fantastic shape. I think we're in very good shape if KJ is the guy who wants the ball at the end, because, again, everything I watched in Europe, if he can translate that here, and he's starting to, I essentially just want him to acknowledge that, hey, this is my team. I'm going to get all of you involved, but when we need a play, when Brad's calling up a play, he better call it for me. That's what I want to see. Big Sunny looking well-connected tonight. The way KJ closed out the game is insane. It's just the fact that how many times he got it within 10 or 9, and he came up and made a huge play, which is exactly what you want. Brad says Boswell played great. Brad says no backwards hat today. You know, I got the Locked On Illini merch today, so the defense is a lot better at this point than I thought it would be. I completely agree. And Happy Hermit puts it well here. We held them at arm's length the entire game. Exactly. We got off to an early lead, and at no point was I really ever nervous about this. Let me know what you think. Were you at all nervous? By the way, if you haven't hit the like button in yet, we got 64 people in here and 15 likes. That math is not mathing. And also, if you're here for the first time, please hit that subscribe button. I do this after every game, whether it's football, whether it's men's basketball, and maybe at some point I'll start doing it after women's basketball. Every single game, I do a post-game live with the community over here. If you caught me earlier, Grant Bierman, the four-star linebacker, composite four-star linebacker from Ohio, who was previously a Purdue committed to the Illini, or flipped to the Illini. And it's funny, the announcement came right as I was recording the film tape. So I do that too also for some of the top prospects. I'll record film on them so you guys kind of have a good idea of who the new incoming Illini was. So I had heard when that this was going to happen. I wanted it ready to go. And in the middle of recording it, he flips. And so I wrapped things up and I posted it online. So, you know, that video is up. Feel free to check that out right after this one. Even with all the winning we've been doing over the last 5 years, I still get nervous at the end of games like this. When do we Illinois ourselves and lose this? Illinois PTSD is real. I get what you're saying. I don't know if I agree. I don't know if I'm there anymore with the basketball side. And I'm slowly now getting over it on the football side. Alex says, Illinois top 15 in KenPom right now. I love it. Top 10 in Torvik, 7 in defense. 7 in defense. Our Illini. A team that many professionals said could be one of the worst teams defensively in the country this year. TV says, even though KJ and Will have the NBA skills, Tommy has by far been our best and most consistent player this season. I think he's the most important player on the team. TV, I said exactly that. I completely agree with you. I think I said that maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago. Our best player is Tomislav Ivisic. We can't replicate what he does, right? If he were to get hurt or if he gets into foul trouble, we don't have another guy who can step in on the court and do what he does. He's Alex says Tommy playing his way onto NBA draft boards. That's right. All right, guys, I'm going to cut this short right now, 28 minutes. I have not had a single bite of any Thanksgiving food at all. The family is all out together, enjoying themselves. I had to watch this game, of course, to do this post-game report for you guys. Again, if you don't mind, please, I ask for nothing. It costs you guys nothing. Just hit that like button. We're up to 26. I appreciate it. 59 of you watching this right now. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And if you already subscribed to me on YouTube, but you're a big podcast listener, find us on the podcast side, on the audio side. And make sure you hit the subscribe button there too. Because again, the audio numbers really help. Locked On Network is obviously focused on this channel and to see how much we can grow. And I keep insisting to them that the passion of this Illini fan base is second to nobody. And you guys have done a fantastic job. This channel is barely 6 months old. And we're already at over 1,500 subs. My goal is 2,000 by the end of the calendar year. So tomorrow, again, on Friday, we'll have a community episode where I'm going to answer some of the questions that you guys have. I'm going to be previewing the Northwestern game. Saturday, Illinois versus Northwestern. If you're in the Chicagoland area, let me know, and maybe we can link up either before or after the game. But until then, please stay tuned into this channel. Until next time, I love you guys.